Well, no, 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 no. Listen, man, you don't understand. Listen, you don't understand. No, Jacob, this will work. You must try. Brother, there's a step. There's multiple steps. No, 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 there isn't. The broker lets me open it for free. The broker lets me open it for free. And they lose all their money. Oh, it's a scam, 90% fail. It's complete bullshit. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to mentfx. This is a super short, 40 minutes, but a super short video if you just kind of listen to it on the bus, listen to it on the way to work, listen to it in the car, listen to it on a workout. Doesn't really matter. Listen to it. Feel free to watch it visually as well. There's some stuff that goes on the little white screen here, but quite literally, this is one of the biggest psychological mistakes that I personally made when I first started out, that I've seen people make over and over and over again. And very likely, these 40 minutes are going to save you 2, 3, 4, 5 potential years of going in circles. And instead of going in circles, kind of defining a process for yourself that you can follow now. So enjoy. The more at peace you are with the things that are going on in your current life and in your environment will very, very heavily affect the things that you're doing. I want to talk to this point in regards to trading because in my own trading, in the trading of a lot of the members that I've worked with, the only time that they saw kind of a breakthrough or had experienced multiple payouts or had experienced their first 5-figure day, their first 6-figure day, their first $1.8 million in funding or whatever it might be, right? Because all these milestones are milestones that I've seen members achieve. Every single one of these people had a similar condition and environment that allowed them to achieve it, right? So this is going to be very, very hard for a lot of people to hear because on one hand, many people that start getting involved in trading, even the person watching this potentially, right? A lot of people that first initially get involved in trading with the idea that it is going to be a faster climb up the mountain. It's going to be a faster gain of monetary value, right? So there's just this belief that, if you want to think about life in a certain light, right? You have your current life. Here's your life. And you see at some level a mountain, right? So this is always going to be a starting point for anyone in the world. This is me right now comparing me to a future version. This is you right now comparing yourself to a future version. This is you comparing yourself to another like rich person, whatever it might be, right? There is always some form of belief that we have over some potentially much better life, better material goods, better monetary, better family, whatever it might be. There's always something that seems better, right? And the biggest problem with trading, at least from what I've seen, is that there is a very, very steadfast belief. There's a big belief in the trading space that basically the stairs, right? If you think about this as a staircase, are much easier to walk. So, this little staircase here and walking up it is a lot easier if you find yourself trading, right? Because there's this belief that this simple action on the computer where you're just clicking the click of a mouse or typing in the things on a keyboard, I'm doing work, right? The simple act of doing that can achieve ungodly amounts of gains, which is true, right? Trading, quite literally, if you think about it, fundamentally is if you have a system worked out, which is a very important caveat, but if you have a system worked out, simply the clicking of buttons on a mouse and the input of numbers into a keyboard can lead to ungodly numbers of wealth that you may have never considered before, right? So of course, this transition looks like it's literally a few clicks away. So in the trading space, one thing that almost always happens is that many people getting started have this surface layer belief or this bottom layer belief that all they have to do is learn to click the few buttons in a row and they can achieve this, very, very large reward for a lot less work than anything else would take, right? It would be very different if, here's you again, boom, 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 you saw this, right? It'd be very different if you knew that this same monetary reward difference right here came from something like being a surgeon, right? So like being a very precise surgeon. Let's draw a little guy with a hat. There we go, like the surgeon hat, whatever, right? the belief would be very different, right? Because the staircase no longer looks like this, right? All of a sudden, you fully understand that the staircase looks a little bit something like this, and then there's twists and turns throughout the staircase, and you really got to make an effort at going through the staircase, right? Because there are now qualifications that are directly linked to getting to this level of financial success, wealth success, value creation, whatever you want to call it, right? It's a lot more clear what the process is going to look like. And the environment that you have to accept before doing it has to already be worked out, right? So like a lot of you that have ever tried to become this, or know anyone in the world that are surgeons or whatever, know that it is an unbelievable amount of work, right? You should basically know that it takes, early schooling, 10, 20 years of early schooling, 4, 8 years of graduate degree, like 8 years more of graduate degree. So like there's already an assumed and seen and forced qualification to get to this level, right? So one of the main things that I've seen that has kind of stopped a lot of traders is that there's a failure to understand that qualification still exists, but it has to be set by yourself, right? So in the trading space, quite literally, this accessibility is there for everyone. This is the hard thing to understand. This accessibility in the trading space, if you want to think about this as trading, right, is for the most part theoretically accessible to anyone, right? Because there is no barrier and there is no qualification level that is set. In every other discipline in the world, every other job in the world, every other high earning income job in the world, with the exception of being a rug pulling scammer, crypto, whatever the fuck, like some of these people do, there are very clear qualifications, right? There are very clear qualifications that aren't just set by the person, but are set by society, by necessary blockades, right? So achieving this level of success has to come with the decision initially to go through, well, an already set process that is very hard, and to basically approach it from that environmental state, right? So everything that you do to become a surgeon is kind of laid out. There's clear qualification. The qualification is you can look it up, there's bullet points to it, and you cannot skip any of them, right? You cannot skip, if there are, let's say, 5 bullet points to becoming a surgeon, you cannot skip 3 of these bullet points and become a surgeon. They will, the company you're going to try to work for, the hospital you're going to try to work for, whoever it is you're going to try to look for, are going to look at your resume or your experience and your past, and they're going to say, this does not, you will not be able to. You can't come out of high school, right? There we go. I graduated high school. Let's draw a little thing, all right, the little hat. I graduated out of high school, and then let's say the next step is like, I don't even know, what would the last step be? You wouldn't even be able to complete these other steps, right? You can't come in with one of these 5 done, and then skip to basically, I want to be surgeon now. You can't come in, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can't come in with 2 out of 6 of these to a hospital, right? Imagine you come up to the hospital, hey guys, I just completed high school. Throughout that time, and after that time, I didn't really do anything, and now I want to be a surgeon, right? They're going to look at it and they're going to say, dude, you don't have the qualifications. There's no reason you should be doing this. It makes absolutely no sense. Get the fuck out of our office, right? And similarly, in trading, this is something that's very, very important to understand. So this is directly, so everything you're seeing right now is actually directly from the mentfx portal and the material where we kind of go step by step through all of this. But what I really want you to focus on is this right here. Are these 5 or 6, 7 kind of steps, right? So the problem with trading is that if you actually want to find profitability in trading and you want to think about the actual steps, even though the money is all accessible and the qualification can theoretically be earned in a second, right? Because remember, there is no blockade in between you and actually making $1 million tomorrow in trading, technically, right? You could throw all your money in, you could do a gamble on it and make money. But on the other hand, there is no way that you can take a gamble like this in anything else in the world because, well, there's society, there's steps, there's schooling, there are things in the way that are going to stop you no matter what. That doesn't exist in trading, right? So the only one that can be capable of setting forward qualifications for trading in general is only going to be yourself. So what you're going to see is almost always, you're going to see an increased level of failure, let's say 90% of failure, right? Because what's happening is the 90% that are failing are simply failing to adhere to qualifications, right? So if you think about qualifications in regards to being a surgeon, you could also say how many people become surgeons after high school or after the next step after high school, right? Well, it's probably going to be 10% or less. So quite literally, the success rate of being a surgeon also becomes 90% a failure, right? Because in this specific situation, you're skipping like 5 or 6 parts of the steps and thinking that you can instantly achieve success. In trading, you don't have these steps laid out for you unless you choose to go through them. So the problem with trading is that without any qualification, people just 90% fail. But the thing I want you to focus on is, where does that failure come from? And this is where I want to bring up something specific to the portal material with the team. And this is actually something that you can literally write down and follow for yourself. I'm going to kind of talk about it a little bit right now, but we talk about this a ton more in the team. And that is that if you simply allowed yourself to follow this set of principles and go through them step by step, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, around 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you simply did these 6 steps and you did these 6 steps consistently, you will have passed the qualifications necessary to achieve a certain level of success and reward in this space. And then over time, that becomes very, very likely, right? What this means is that initially you have to have the understanding that becoming a trader or becoming a surgeon quite literally carries a similar harder step than just, hey, I can fund an account. I can fund that account with $100. I can flip that $100 into 10K because my favorite YouTuber or mentor told me I can. And here I am, I've achieved insane success and I'm funded and I'm doing amazing, right? This is not how trading functions or works in any capacity, right? So going from where you are now to here might look a lot easier from the trading perspective because there's no qualification, but it's in some cases infinitely harder because you are the person that must set those qualifications forward and set them up for yourself. So those qualifications, to give you them right now, are these right here, right? It quite literally goes system, proper risk understanding, case study, data collection, back test, forward test, and live execution. This is it. This is literally all it actually takes to find full profitability in trading. The problem is most never, ever choose to go through them. Okay, so what I have noticed, and even the person watching this might even notice this about themselves, is that quite literally, if you have found yourself failing evaluations with funding firms, if you found yourself starting an account, making some money, and then losing it all, starting an account, doing well on it, and then losing it all, if you found yourself blowing up accounts, making emotional mistakes, blah, 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 insert whatever problem you have, it stems directly from a lack of this exact process right here. Because this process isn't just a process for profitability. This process is the qualification. So each one of these steps is a qualification. Okay. I'm terrible at that's, you get it. Qualification, because I'm using a mouse to do this. These are the qualifications of a full-time profitable trader. Every single member and trader that I've ever worked with that has gotten payouts, gotten funded up to seven figures, 8 figures, had multiple payouts of 4, 5, 6 figures. Every single one of them had done this process at a level that allowed them to have the qualification to actually achieve success, right? Quite literally, to put it simply, if you saw someone or if you needed to get surgery and you're in the surgeon's office and they've done this to become a surgeon, you trust that person with your life. Maybe not fully, but you basically trust that person to operate on you and do this. Right? The same thing goes for trading. If you see someone here and they've achieved all this, you would trust them with your money. But if you're here and you simply see that, hey, maybe I can do, a gamble that can make me all this money, then you are better off buying a lottery ticket because you are skipping every portion of the qualification. You are the person that is coming to this person and saying, hey, operate on me. I trust you. Hopefully it works out. Even though they haven't undergone the process, gone through the steps, and have not received any of the qualification. So simply, remember this as you kind of move forward. It's society has set up a lot of qualifications for everything in the world, especially those things that operate at high income levels. Similarly, trading, which is something that can literally operate at an extremely high income level, has no qualifications that are set by anyone but yourself. You are the spokesperson of the qualifications. You are the decider of whether you are ready for something or not. So it's very, very important that you understand the steps that need to be taken or you lose entirely, right? So the steps that actually need to be taken are these right here. And these steps, all of them put together step by step, give you the qualification to be a full-time trader. Now, what I have noticed from working with over 10,000 people over the last 5 years, and that you heard that correctly, I've worked directly with over 10,000 independent people over the last 5 years. Not, not even exaggerating this number. Statistically, I have worked with 10,000 people, not through YouTube, through independent, real work with 10,000 people. The thing that I have seen that has caused the most failure when they were just kind of getting started and didn't know what the fuck they were doing wrong was that someone will learn a portion of a system. Let's say 40% of a system. The idea here is you can insert any system. I just learned that if there's a trend line and there's a break of the trend line, I can look for shorts. Or I just learned that if I have a clean area of resistance and price comes up to it, I should sell. Or if it breaks through it, I can be a buyer at it in the future, right? This is system, but 40% understanding. Or I have a trend set, and because I got a break of structure or a change of character, that means I can be a seller here and I'll make money. Or I learned that there are FVGs, imbalance areas that price comes and must come into clear liquidity, right? Those are just beginning aspects, simple understandings of systems. And what happens is someone learns something or hears something new and thinks, holy shit, the market has been flipped on its head. Because remember, guys, I've literally done all of this, okay? I've literally learned it all, understood it all, seen where problems lay, and basically worked towards an understanding that was repeatable, consistent, teachable, and I have seen people directly get real results as a result of it because they also follow these qualifications, okay? But the problem that I see is someone might learn like 40% of a system, and then they'll skip understanding how risk works. So this is where somebody assumes that a 30% win rate means that you're a losing trader and they just don't even think about it, or thinks that a 90% win rate means they're a winning trader. So they don't understand how risk works. They have over leverage risk, under leverage risk, improper risk, no proper understanding of how RR functions, right? So these are everything I just said. If you don't know what that means, you can look it up online or whatever. Or you can become part of the team where I literally go through this step by step to explain exactly how we think in these exact steps or have proper risk understanding. So, if you're not a part of the team, then join up. If you are, then you guys already know what I'm talking about. But very simply, right, if you don't have a proper risk understanding, okay, and you only have 40% of a system complete, and you have no case study, data collection, or back test, and you move to a forward test, which is also known as live execution or trading on a funded account or whatever, what do you think the likelihood of your success rate is going to be, or of your potential to receive reward? Where do you think this 80 to 90% number comes from? Where do you truly think that this 90% failing rate, oh shit, where do you think this 90% failure rate actually comes from? Well, it simply stems from the exact same thing that you would see in any other industry, which is that you have a lack of qualification, but you don't have anyone stopping you. So you take your lack of qualification and you apply it to something realistic, and you wonder why you cannot operate or perform surgery at a high level without said qualification. Well, this is your answer, right? This is your answer that says, well, the reason you haven't been able to perform at the level you want to is because you do not have the qualification. And very, very likely, you've completed only some aspects of a real system, and as a result, you do not have the things accessible to you to make confident choices that are actually going to grow your capital. And you still exist and believe that the stair steps that lead you to trading are infinitely easier than anything else because you're aware that a few clicks of the button can make you a ton of money, right? All of that is complete bullshit. Now, it is completely true that through clicking, literally, like here's markets that I've been watching, through a few clicks, here's gold. This is XAU USD, gold, ZAO USD, whatever you want to call it. Through literally a few clicks over the last few months, I've returned 10% on my account simply on this trade alone. That was through a few clicks and a few entries on a keyboard. That's what led to an insane reward and gain on my account. And that's true for anything that I've traded. A few clicks on this thing has led to a loss and now a currently sitting runner that might run or might not run, right? These are all created by clicks. But the clicks are not what's leading to the huge monetary gain. the thing that's leading to this huge monetary gain, or the ability to create a huge monetary gain for myself and for the members I've worked with that have had $80,000 days or $28,000 days, I'll actually take 1 second here to literally go over one of our members. Actually, I think I can find it right here. Yeah, so one of our members, quite literally, just on one stock, on one asset, on one time frame, using the exact same material taught throughout the portal over and over and over again, used that material to get involved on something that was strong, that was looking good, that added up to being a good trade after having done this exact qualification thing. And again, I'm using his example because it's very recent. This was on the 9th, which was about, 8 days ago. On just this trade alone, did around $28,000 for himself on his P&L, right? Verified through Real Broker. He did this through Webull. So, this was through a real broker. That's all that matters. It doesn't necessarily matter, but I want you to understand that huge reward and the potential for huge reward and the potential to do it consistently is there. But if you think that this mountain is climbable through a few simple steps, or that it's very easy to the point where you just walk up nice and slowly, and that's going to lead to potentially huge gains, you're gravely mistaken. You are not going to be the person that takes $100 and turns it into $10,000. You're not going to be the person that takes $1,000 and turns it into $10,000 or $100,000. A lot of that is in the bottom tier of the 0.0001%, right? And the way that I've always operated, and the way that I even teach my team to think is, if you are betting on a 0.0001% chance or a 0.01% chance, then you are better off not becoming a trader. You're better off, kind of like literally taking a lottery ticket, playing the lottery, or doing anything else with your life, right? Because if you are basing your potential success on something that has a success rate of around 0.01%, the very, very likelihood, 1 in 10,000 cases, 1 in 10,000 versions of you will be the only one that succeeds. And you're not, and as crazy as it might be to hear this, you are not that 1 in 10,000. You're just not, right? I'm not, no one is, right? And even if it works, it almost always fails in the long run. So the way that I've always thought about this is, you can skip the qualification and be that 1 in 10,000 that maybe gets away with it, right? If you look at the views on this video, let's say it's 5,000 views. That means quite literally half of a person of this video will find true success through believing that the market is as simply as a few steps higher towards this immense reward that's accessible, right? It's the same thing that if you had a buddy come up to you and said, "Hey brother," like, what's your name? Who the person watches? Maybe your name is Jacob. Hello, Jacob. The person, if you're watching and your name's Jacob, then okay, great. Hi, Jacob. I'm your buddy, right? Jacob, you won't believe what I figured out, Jacob. If I become a surgeon, dude, I can simply make around $400K a year. Really? Yeah, bro. I think I'm gonna go and just literally go to the hospital tomorrow and just ask him to be a surgeon. Well, bro, I mean, that's not gonna work. Jacob, you don't understand. It's literally a free money hack. I can, I don't even have to put money in. I can spend like $100 on like the CV and resume and all that stuff, and I can make all this money. Jacob, that's not how it works. They're not, nah, shut the fuck up. I got this. They walk into the office the next day and they say, get the fuck out of here, right? The problem is there's no office to walk into in trading, right? If you come into trading with the same belief, hey, Jacob, you're not going to believe what I figured out. I can take $100. I can turn it into 400K per year, but over time I can make it into 10K, 20K, 30K just through trading. And I can just put it into Euro US dollar. I can just put it into GameStop. I can just put it into this asset, into NQ, and make money. Well, no. Listen, man, you don't understand. No, Jacob, this will work. You must try. Brother, there's a step. There's multiple steps. No, there isn't. The broker lets me open it for free. And they lose all their money. Oh, it's a scam. 90% fail. It's complete bullshit. Well, you went into a place believing there's no qualification whatsoever, right? So no shit, you're gonna fail because you believe that this immense reward and opportunity that's available to people that have actually put the work in is available to you because you just have a brokerage account or funded account, right? It's complete fucking nonsense. So you need to recognize right now, much earlier than later, that there are a ton of qualifications, just like there are qualifications associated with being a surgeon, as there are qualifications associated with being a trader. Right? And the earlier you accept that, the much faster you'll make money in trading. And those qualifications, at least from my personal opinion, based on what I've done for myself and what I've done with other people and what I've done with over 10,000 plus people, is that anyone that has a system and starts to test live or to trade live fails. 90% failure rate. Anyone that has a system or 40% of a system has some proper risk, doesn't case study, doesn't collect data, starts backtesting, starts failing, and doesn't know why they're going wrong. I don't get how to actually figure out what's going on in the market. Why can't I figure it out? Okay, well, there's steps. You skipped aspects of the qualification. One of the things I do within the mentfx portal, so the mentfx portal, actually, maybe I can do it this way. Just to make this very, very clear. So the mentfx portal, here it is. This is accessible to every single member of mentfx, okay? The mentfx portal has very, very clear step-by-step instruction from very beginning to setting up everything to simple to the extreme high end of understanding, all rooted within this exact thing right here. Made free for you guys on this channel, so you can literally write this down and focus on these steps for yourself. And if you need a minimum, the minimum will be 100 trades minimum for each one of these. That's all you need right now to get much better as a trader. I swear, if you just take this down, you will do more for yourself than any video is ever gonna do for you on system or crazy system approach or anything like that, right? If you just simply write these down and focus on these alone, you're gonna do better for yourself in this market than all your friends around you, than all the people thinking that you can do $100 into 10K or whatever the fuck, this nonsense approach is. Just write these down, right? And again, if you skip any aspect of these right here, then you are skipping aspects of the qualifications that lead to success. And when you skip the qualification steps that lead to success, what happens? You do not get the job. You do not get the monetary reward. You do not get the reward to start with, right? Your belief of where you could be or could achieve is basically the blockade to your potential ability to actually make money, right? If that guy, if he calls you, hey, Jacob, I think I can be a surgeon. There's a few easy steps I must take. It's like, well, yeah, the steps are easy, right? There are a few steps. There's like 5 steps. There's, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. Those steps take time. A lot of these take an unbelievable amount of time, and they have steep curves of knowledge and implementation required, right? So the knowledge and execution required at each step. So each time has knowledge and execution, knowledge and execution, knowledge and execution, and each step has time, until you reach the pinnacle, which is, I'm a surgeon, and I can now be rewarded for it, right? Those things all exist. And the exact same thing exists in trading. Don't think that because you found trading or have heard about trading or someone told you about trading that you have found the truth to success that is amazing. You haven't. You've simply found another way to be an entrepreneur with different qualifications that you must abide by, that you must move through, or you are gambling on being 1 in 10,000 of lucky hitters, or 1 in 100,000. And I don't think basing your entire life on this is worth it. Okay? If right now I put a button in front of you that said, when you press this button, you will either be broke 9,999 times out of 10,000, or if you press this button, there's a 1 in 10,000 chance that you make $2 million right now. What are you doing with the button? If your answer right now was to press the button, okay, you should not be trading. You are mistaking what trading is actually offering you and what it requires to be a trader. Because most of trading is nothing new in regards to application of material, time, process, and qualification. If you cannot recognize that, then you are guaranteed to fail, right? If that button is something that you would press, then you are approaching trading from the wrong perspective. Right? Similarly, if I want to ask you this, right? If I told you this is the same button and you can put in $10 and 1 in 10,000 times that $10 will become $100 or 1K, right? And then 9,999 times you lose it. I don't know if the mathematics works out there. Would you do it? And if the answer is yes, then again, you are completely mistaking what trading is offering you. You are mistaking what the actual process through trading, or to get into the top of this mountain, or to getting to this point that you believe is crazy and this insane reward that's available. You are mistaking yourself over how to do it. And as a result, you shouldn't be in the space. Or if you recognize that none of that works, and there's a few steps, then these are the steps that you want to follow. This is the best steps I've ever seen, and this has worked through over 10,000 people that I've worked with directly, right? The people that have done this are the ones that also have had their $28,000 P&L days, $60,000 P&L days, $140,000 P&L dollar days, right? And the people that haven't done this are the same people that have gone through immense losses, right? Have done through 50K losses and 50K debt and stuff like that, right? I want you to understand that. Like, I'm not just talking about this like, well, you'll make $5 million if you just follow the steps. It's not the case. But you will get yourself to a point where you have a system that is profitable under your belt if you follow the steps. And these are the steps. And if you skip them, you lose. So the steps, as I teach them in the entire portal of our team, is these right here. This is nothing new, nothing special. I'm not even hiding it from you. Recognize this. Learn a system at 100% of its understanding. Not something that's like, oh, every single day I draw a high, I draw a low, and I hope that when price takes out the low, it might take out the high, or takes out the high, it might take out the low. And that, like, I'm not talking about 20% understanding of a system, right? Just because you know words or cool ways to label things on a chart does not make you an understander of the system, right? One of the ways that I teach my team to think is I quite literally start everything at a basic understanding of how price functions, and that gets built on through understanding of trend, when trend is actually applicable, good or bad, how stages function, how structure as a result functions as a part of that. Basically, every single step is quite literally to build upon an understanding of how systems operate, when systems are worth taking, what is a good system, how to actually label it by the end, so that by the time you get to the bottom of just and only the system aspect, you go, okay, I didn't need any crazy buzzwords or crazy understandings. All I needed to do was have an understanding of how markets can deliver. That is what a 100% of a system is. 100% of a system is not going, I know that price has support resistance, and therefore I can be profitable off support resistance. It's like you have 20% of the system worked out. I know price has structure, and then when it breaks down at a big FVG or whatever, right, that means that I can be a seller here. It's like, you're not special for understanding this, right? This is a basic system that you can learn in 5 minutes, and that's still 20% of a system, because you have no realistic understanding that you can now have confidence in, that you can have pure confidence in, right? But let's say you get to a point where you have 100% of a system worked out. You go, okay, I know or understand the fundamentals of why the system works, what the system kind of entails, the fact that it works across multiple assets or multiple timeframes, no matter which timeframes I choose. And now I can move on to understanding how that system works within proper risk. What does it mean to take losses? What does it mean to be a winning trader in regards to losses? What does it mean to think in terms of RR instead of monetary value? What does it mean to understand that? Because I know this is leading to what real monetary reward is going to look like in my trading. Okay. How do I then take those things and apply them? Well, the next step would be case studying. How can I now take all the things I understand fully about a system and about proper risk and look at something and say, oh, these are the things that could be accessible. These are things that might be accessible for me as a trader, right? That is a case study element. Then there's the data collection, which just says, how did the things I did and the rules that led to them lead to an overall understanding of losses and wins that make up a system? Okay, so to give you even more value, if I can possibly offer it, one of the things we did within the mentfx portal, so I actually did this step by step. In the portal, you'll see how we use our own data sheet to record proper data. And by the end of it, this is where we found ourselves. This was where we got ourselves here, and you can see here, a win rate that's less than 50%, a loss rate that is relatively high, a break-even rate that's really clean, and yet there's pure money being created out of it. There's pure R coming out of it. This is because we've applied a step-by-step approach. We know what is leading to the profitability. The case studies are leading to proper data. The data is leading to backtest. The backtest is leading to forward. And then by that point, you're able to actually execute this thing live. Now, again, this is not me telling you to go execute live. I am not a financial advisor of any sort. Everything I say is speculative, is based on my own personal opinion, and based on my own personal experience, right? So don't just hear this and go, oh, I'm gonna go live, right? Simply apply what you're hearing or apply it in regards to what you've done and see if it brings a more positive result than the shit you've done before. Because I guarantee you, a video about me talking to you right now about proper steps and qualifications in trading is going to do a lot more for you than a book, a random book on just psychology. Is going to do a lot more for you than a random video or a new video on the next big indicator or the next altcoin, the next crypto, the next special approach, the next break of character, structure, reset, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter, right? Those things are not going to do anything for you if you don't know how to implement them. This video is about implementation, okay? So if you have a system and you allow yourself to learn a system, and I don't care if you learn from me, if you join my team and learn from myself or learn from anyone else, it doesn't matter. There's plenty of amazing systems out there. You just need to have an understanding of that system, okay? If you have a system, a proper risk understanding of applying to that system, the case study, which simply means looking at markets in regards to the principles of the system and risk to understand where opportunities could take place, then to applying that to data collection where you actually get losses, the most important factor of trading, where you learn to see how losses make you a fuck ton of money, okay? The only reason this curve here goes up is not because of the wins. Just so you guys understand, well, it kind of is. The only reason this curve goes up is because this curve is created through the execution that leads to losses, which leads to the steps that actually create wins. Okay, so it's like a weird way to think, but you start to realize the real cycle of trading is to take a trade for the purpose of a loss to make it into a break even or a win for that to fuel your account. And this cycle is the one that actually makes you money. The thing that makes you money is not studying your losses and knowing where your losses were so you can fix your losses. That's not what makes you money. What makes you money is a true understanding of the principles and qualification that lead to wins, right? Which is that losses are a huge aspect of what you do. And then you apply that to backtests where you now accept your losses, enjoy your losses because they create the wins, and that leads to you being able to execute live to the point where by the time you're fully executing and doing this on repeat, you have the ability to sit out, to do nothing, to take trades, to take losses, and to inevitably, because it's guaranteed if you follow the qualifications, because you've literally done the schooling, the 20 years of schooling, the 8 years of degrees, the 8 more years of living with other doctors, the 8 years of interning at doctors, whatever the fuck the things to being a surgeon is, and then becoming a surgeon, nobody questions you. No one's like, but do you have the qualifications? Do you deserve to be a surgeon? There's no such thing. There's no, but are you a trader? Do you deserve? Do you have the qualifications? There's just simply, you've gone through the process and you deserve the qualifications that now lead to where you are. And as a result, right, you get rewarded for it in the version of actually making money and scaling your account. And you start to be able to put the money you have to work, okay? Now, one part psychological of the process where this video kind of started is understanding the kind of environment you're in too, right? If the environment that you're coming into trading from is that of, I have simple steps that I need to take to achieve this insane, ungodly amount of performance, then you're going to blow everything and you're never going to make it, right? Versus if you know the environment is that of, holy shit, I got to do a lot of things before I reach this level of reward or monetary success, then your entire philosophy around doing the work changes, okay? So the reason this all spawned, this idea spawned, the reason that I wanted to talk about this specifically is because I had a member that I'm also working with within my mentorship who just got a brand new job, okay? And his job offers him much bigger pay. Basically, you know, he's doing very well in life, and yet he's still learning to trade, okay? And what he's even mentioned and has already noticed in his own trading is that his own trading, his own understanding of how to go through the process and to create these qualifications has become infinitely easier. And he is starting to see more success and racking up positive equity curve results along the lines of what you'll see. Let me just see if I can find this. And by the way, you guys should join up so you have access to this too. But if I go into the equity curve section of our team, where people just get to post some of their equity curves of their testing, right? Some are going to be, you know, whatever, because people are working, but the more you do this, you know, positive result, insane positive result, ignore this because he's just adding to the data. So his data currently ends him up right here, right? result that led to positive, 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 and he basically got to learn from his own mistakes to get positive curves. So again, you're going to keep seeing this over and over and over again because every single member here, right, has a process that they have to follow, that they have to go through to achieve the actual level of success that, let's say, you have set out to achieve when you decided, I want to get this, right? So the environment that you accept is the one that you start to excel a lot more in. So the guy that I wanted to talk about is a guy that just got promoted at his job or got a better job and is now making a ton of money through the job that he's working, right? And through making a ton of money with the job that he's working, he literally messaged me and said, holy shit, I am seeing more simplicity in this entire approach in all these qualifications. I'm able to execute on them with almost no issue. I'm already seeing profitability in my curves through the curves that I'm doing. And I think it's all to do with the fact that the environment now allows me to do that. So this video is also a big testament to environment too. It's to accept that the environment that you're in is not that of easy steps that lead to big monetary. The environment you're in is one that has many qualifications. And if those qualifications are not met, you're going to be part of the 90% that fail. But because you know that that is the environment you're in, where there are qualifications, then you should set up your life in a way that allows you to learn, get better, while also living a life that you're okay with having. Okay, this is very, very important. So the guy, notice this, the guy that has a job, that has been promoted, that is doing very well for himself in his life, where $100 a month for like our team doesn't matter, where he can take time when he needs it and learn about a system where he can have the time that he properly needs to go through the process where he's not in random debt because he's throwing money randomly at the market and losing it all. The guy who has all of this shit figured out and has a good life is the same one that is rising through the ranks of these qualifications with no issue and very quickly. Which again begs the same question. Do you think the person that is becoming and meeting the qualifications of this surgeon right here, do you think the person meeting those qualifications is the guy that is, completely broke off his ass, is already in debt 100K, 200K, is gambling every single week, which is basically, if you don't know what you're like, if you're a bad trader and you haven't learned to trade, but you're just throwing money at the market, you're a gambler, like one that goes to the casino and loses money, right? Do you think the guy that is doing all that in his life, doesn't have his life worked out, has no means of monetary income, has no house even maybe, has no place to rent, do you think that person has an easier job at going through these qualifications to reach a surgeon level? Or do you think the guy that has multiple things figured out, might be working as a waiter part-time, might be making a ton of money as a waiter part-time, might be working as a data analyst part-time, whatever it might be, making money part-time, lives in a decent place where he's happy, has insurance, has everything that he needs, which one of those do you think has an easier time? If you take a 10,000 plus people like that, 10,000, which one has an easier time becoming a surgeon? Well, it becomes very simple, right? The guy that has absolutely nothing, permanently nothing, in debt, blah, 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 1 in 10,000 will make it. And here, well, the people that have decided they're going to go through the process, what, like 80%, 50%, 60%, unless they want to quit, will make it, right? This is how you have to understand kind of mathematically these big numbers of 90% fail, or 1 in 10,000 can make it, or I can turn my $100 into 10K. The reality is, if you actually want to make it, recognize very early that there is knowledge and execution and time that is associated with getting better at anything, because those things add up to the qualifications that make you a trader. And if you haven't gone through those steps or found those qualifications that are going to now make you a trader, you're guaranteed to fail. You cannot be a trader. You will not be a trader, right? You're better off doing anything else. And if you have decided that you're going to go through them, then at least start with these qualifications right here. Because if you just allow yourself to go through these qualifications, you're going to do infinitely better. Understand the system at 100% of it. Not just a random pattern that happens and you can just look for it every day. No, I'm talking about understand what creates the pattern and the steps that lead to the market delivery. Add a proper risk understanding. How do you properly risk on an account, no matter what the account size? Start to case study that system across multiple assets, across multiple markets, every single day, across everything. Collect data on that, back test it, then go live. That's it. This is literally all it takes to get the qualifications, but those qualifications are rooted, as I said a second ago, within these little steps right here. okay? And recognize early on that the environment you're in is not one of easy, simple steps that give you quick access and glory to this insane amount of money, because it's not how it is. There are big qualifications. There's a lot of time, effort, execution, and knowledge associated with those steps. And if you can allow that environment to be true, then the way you act around your real life and the way that you live your real life, because again, guys, don't be the person that takes the $1 in $10,000 gamble on your real, 1 in 10,000 person gamble on your real life. This is the only life you have, right? If you waste it on a 1 in 10,000 chance, then you might make it 1 in 10,000 times, but the rest, 9,999 versions of you, which is very likely the person watching this, will never be a trader, right? So don't go the route that throws the qualifications out the window. Allow yourself to accept qualification, allow yourself to accept environment, and improve infinitely faster than everyone around you. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little episode of Ment Talks. I'll see you all either in the trade talks, where I get to talk with all of you fucking amazing people right here, or I'll see you all in the comments in the YouTube video below and in the next video. All right. Thank you all so much. Have a good one.